we didn't have like a strict date. And I think that helped us like let it be what it was. Because of all that time, because of all that planning, it's exactly what we dreamed of, better than we could have dreamed.
Hey, my name's Geoff Watson, and I'm a designer and builder of the Woolly Mammoth Tiny House.
I'm Rose Broadbent, and I'm an artist, and yeah, this is our home.
This video is sponsored by Dylan McGaster. Check out our new channel by clicking the link and be sure to subscribe.
Rose and I are both environmentalists, and I think the idea of downsizing your life and living a little bit more intentionally was pretty important to us, and this seemed like a feasible way to do it. We've been toying with the idea for a long time, and then we met one of the farm owners on the land that we rent our spot on, and she had wanted to build a tiny home. You know, the ball started rolling, and she bought a trailer, and that kind of inspired us to buy a trailer.
I mean, this home was originally an RV that we bought off Kijiji for $2,500. So there was this kind of initial, what are we doing? Where is this going? We just started with this really 80s looking RV, and now, you know, with our design skills, we've created a very soulful home.
We were starting our building process. We hadn't decided on the insulation yet. Slater, the woman that we share the land with, she actually got us onto wool. She actually bought some from a local wool cleaner. Incredible properties because it's been evolving on sheep for millions of years. A local farmer heard that we were building the tiny house, and he knew that we were buying some wool, and wool's really expensive to buy because processing it's incredibly intensive. He came by in a tractor, literally, and dropped off 3 bags of wool, dirty wool.
Massive bags of wool, and it was kind of overwhelming, but at the same time it was this opportunity. It was a very slow, intentional process, and even though it took so long, I think it does make a difference in the feeling in our home. And of course, it's such a great insulation, and it was free.
All right, here we are in front of the Woolly Mammoth Tiny, which was built off of a motorhome chassis. It is a 1988 Triple E Regency. The engine inside is a 454 block engine, which is, I don't know much about cars, but apparently it can really haul, so it's capable of pulling the Tiny. We've had it looked at by a couple mechanics. Everything's good, it runs fine. The chassis of it actually runs all the way back, which we reinforced by welding on 2x4 beams of hollow structural steel all along the way. That's actually the only part of the home that I didn't do. I didn't weld, we hired a welder. We kept the original front of the motorhome, including the 2 side windows and the windshield. The motorhome chassis itself has proven to be strong enough to hold the whole house. Although I wouldn't recommend going this route, we are still happy with the way it turned out. So welcome to the back garage or shed of the Woolly Mammoth. This is where everything is powered and run. Sorry for the noise. We've got our 100-gallon water tank that we fill from a well. Eventually it will fill from rainwater. Over here are 2 tankless water heaters. One is used to power our heated floors in the home, and the other is our domestic water for showering and washing dishes and whatnot. And here's just a little lamp that we use. It's a reptile lamp and it's really low power usage, but it kind of keeps the main components from freezing. Everything in here is 12 volt from the water pump to the tankless water heaters. Back here is part of the hydronic floor system. It kind of all runs through there, and you'll see it's filled with half water and half antifreeze. And then in the top left over here, you can kind of see our whole fuse panel. All that is 12 volt, and then the panel and the box beside it is 24 volt. As you can see here, it's loosely insulated with dirty sheep's wool because we're not breathing this air, so it doesn't really matter. And then the reflective stuff is actually recycled denim lined on one side with a reflective barrier to kind of help keep any heat generated in here staying in here. Eventually what we're gonna have, and I've purchased them but they're not here right now, is I have 9 Nissan Leaf batteries. They are 1/10 of the weight of lead acid batteries. People are estimating they might last up to 50 years in a house, which makes it an amazing battery. You can get them on eBay for as little as about $120, and our setup is going to cost us about $2,500, which makes going off-grid that much more affordable. Welcome to the Woolly Mammoth Tiny House. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour, starting off with our tiny stove. This is a cubic mini tiny stove manufactured in Quebec. We can heat the house from like 10 degrees to like 22 in the span of about an hour and a half, which is pretty rad. We also have heated floors, so that kind of offsets things, but this guy's really fun to use and operate. It's our wood storage, and we've got a little trap door that goes down to outside of the vehicle. Our kitchen counter, which we built ourselves, and I'd highly recommend. It's super affordable. I think it costs about $100, and we just pieced it together and oiled it with food grade oil. Here's our Berkey water filter, which filters any kind of water coming in and makes it drinkable. Highly recommend that if you're in a remote location or you have to kind of get water from sources that you don't have time to test. Our lovely sink, we got a copper sink because we love the idea of it kind of changing over time as it kind of gets its patina. The water is actually controlled by foot pedals, which, because we are off-grid, saves us a ton of water. It also lets you clean dishes and operate the sink without using your hands to manage the water, so it's brilliant. You can find them online. They're kind of expensive. We unfortunately had to order ours from China in bulk because they were just too expensive here. I think they were about $250 if you're to buy them locally, whereas online you can find them for about $20 to $30. So it's more affordable in that sense. Half of them didn't work when they got here from China, so I can't really recommend that either. We're looking for another supplier and we'll let you know if we find one. Our stove is propane powered. Lets us stay off the grid. I think one day we might switch to electric if our solar gets good enough. We just kind of put in all of our own lighting, and it's all LED lighting. Control them all just with dimmers, which is nice. We had to choose the knobs and wire it all ourselves. And then beneath here is a 12-volt fridge. So this fridge can also be run direct current and saves us a ton of energy. It's a small bar fridge, but it totally works for us. And then one of our prized items is our Japanese knife made by a blacksmith in Japan. And because we have fewer things in the tiny home, the things we do have, we can afford to make them really nice. And so we use this one knife for mainly everything, and we maintain it and get it sharpened. And it hangs here on this magnetic knife holder that we also built.
So welcome to my favorite room of the whole house, which is the bathroom. When Geoff asked what I needed in a tiny home, I said a full bathtub, and he provided. The cast iron clawfoot was our first initial idea, but it's so heavy. So we went with the fiberglass. It was just easy to move in, and I'm really happy about it. When you're building your home, you get to choose what items you use every single day. And so we chose like really beautiful, aesthetic, lovely items that we want to maintain, and you want something that you will actually value. So we got this copper sink. Love the like aesthetic of that, but also it makes you want to maintain it. So we put our laundry in here, lift this lid, and we can remove it really easily. Now on the lower shelf is where we hid the litter box. Because we have 2 cats, you can hardly notice it. And underneath there is a 12-volt fan that's sucking the air out, so it kind of removes any odor. All of our lighting is on dimmers, and that just allows us to have, you know, the mood and the vibe that we want. And it's all LED, so it's really low energy. Finally, the toilet. So this is a composting toilet. It's a bucket that's half filled with the wood shavings, and then when it is filled, we end up taking it out to the compost pile where it ends up decomposing. The sawdust that we have is actually just a byproduct of a lumber mill. They give us continuously shavings from their lumber, and we end up using it for the litter box, for the composting toilet, and it's been a really great partnership with them. With a small space, you still want room for your closet and for longer coats, items like that. So we made sure to build in a little spot underneath the stairs, which has been really functional and great. A small pantry, a few extra storage units in the stairs. This has been a really cool addition. We just stuff hats, mitts, all the winter gear in there, and it just makes everything kind of more clean and simple. This table that Geoff built flips down really easily if we needed a little bit more room in here. Let's go to the loft.
All right, welcome to our loft. We knew we'd be spending a lot of time up here, and lofts are often a pain point in tiny homes for being criticized for being small and cramped. So we made sure that our bathroom, which is just beneath the loft, was exactly the right height for us to fit, and that gave us a little bit more headroom here. And we also extended the loft out this way to give us a space where we often sit and meditate or just chill. You know, if we have people over, it's kind of nice to like put your legs over and just kind of be able to hang out with everyone down there. But the major feature of the loft is quite obvious, and it is this skylight, which we put in almost last minute before we finished the roof, and it was the best decision we made. We couldn't get it reclaimed, so it was expensive, but it was worth every penny. And it actually opens up and gives us access to the roof, which is remarkable. And if it gets too hot in here during the summer, it vents the place out in a matter of seconds. It's unbelievable. We designed it to be right over where we sleep, so that when we sleep we can see the stars, and that's pretty much priceless. That's a dream I've had my whole life, and I've got it now, and it wasn't that hard to do. Otherwise, up here is our clothing storage. At the foot of our bed are just little slots, and that holds the majority of our clothing, other than that the other clothing storage downstairs. We have just a little bit of lighting in the corner, which is more or less a reading light, and a regular 110 volt outlet, and then a 12 volt outlet. You're looking at our daybed here, which initially was designed to be a couch that pulls in and out, and it still does, but we found so much better use of it when it's actually just in this bed format. If you look under here, it's basically designed nearly identical to an IKEA daybed model. So it can go as small as like a regular couch against the wall, or it can actually pull out to a queen size bed. All right, so the last part of the tiny home is the front cab. It's probably the most unique part, considering the fact that it has a steering wheel. It is the original cab from the motorhome on the exterior, and then on the interior we wood paneled it. We're not done here, so it's the last part that we're still working on. But a couple cool features about it are that the RV came with 2 RV seats, which will be repositioned here, and they swivel 360 degrees. So they'll be able to face the inside of the home and just act as 2 other kind of comfy seats. And this is some of the wool. This is what it looks like in its raw form. And because this door isn't fully sealed right now, we haven't put in the rest of the gaskets, we have just stuffed in some raw wool to prevent it from losing the hot air that builds up in here. It's just a nice kind of reading nook that we use, at least so far. Underneath this guy, I guess I should mention, is the engine. We just kind of built this cover to cover it up and to act as another surface in here.
One last minute decision we made while building was to have a second loft. This is a lot more narrow than the other one, but eventually if we put like a little gate up, it could act as a kid's bed or even someone staying over. So we built this ladder, and it ends up being pretty chill. It's nice for extra seating when people are over, and it was just kind of a nice bonus that I'm really glad we decided on. I think the interesting thing about risk taking is that it often pays off. Maybe a little longer than you think it will, but we've gotten so many opportunities because we took the time to build this home that we never would have had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're considering taking a risk like this and you feel like you're thinking about it a lot and your heart is kind of tugging at you to at least give it a try, then I think following your heart will lead you places that, following your mind or economic decision making, they won't get you there. They won't get you to the same place. And the fulfillment, whether you're rich or broke by the end of it, it doesn't matter. The way you feel is fulfilled. And it's a sense of fulfillment that I don't think even my job gives me. And I run my own business and I enjoy doing that. It is nothing compared to building your own home and living in your own home and just following your heart. I think that's a super important thing to take in all aspects of your life. But if you're considering something like this, then definitely do it. At least start the process. And worst comes to worst, you can back away and you can not do it anymore. It's not the end of the world. There's everything else waiting for you there. So I think take the risk, and you'll be surprised with how you're rewarded.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And if you really love what we create here at FLORB, we're working hard to bring you more, better, higher quality content. And so if you would like to support us, consider clicking the link in the description and joining the community on Patreon, and you can support the channel through that. So if you love what we do, consider checking out our Patreon page, and thank you for watching. Have a great week. Big love. Peace out.